I'm not a business person. I'm a photographer. I'm a videographer. If you are in business, you are a business person. You have to become a business person. If you don't quickly become a business person, soon enough, you're not going to have a business that you're running at all.
Yeah,
right?
and these are $100,000 mistakes you're making.
Most people get into this industry to do the thing they love. They don't get into it to do the business side.
Why you gonna try to get mad? Everybody wanna keep up. Don't you know I move too fast? I'ma zip right past. Drip all on my swag.
Hello and welcome to the Wedding Film School Show. My name is Jared, and today I'm joined by Mr. Jason McCutcheon once again. What's up, dude?
How you doing?
I'm doing well, hanging in.
Yeah, I feel like we always do. Like, how you doing? I'm good. How are you?
Yeah, good.
Like,
great.
It's just like
And we've been sitting here talking and putting together a show for the last 2 hours. So
I know how you're doing. It's a stupid question. I know how you're doing.
I know.
Don't insult me with that question.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I guess it's better than not being friendly. So.
What if we're just like really cold and rude to each other the whole time?
Well, like we normally are.
I think people would like a podcast where the guests had an actual fight.
Yeah. I've been listening to this awesome new podcast with Will Arnett and Jason Bateman.
Funny.
What is it called?
I've never listened to it. They're just funny people. I didn't know they had one.
So funny. And that's pretty much what they do. Like one person will bring on the guest. They'll have a guest come on with them. And they will pretty much, like one person will be interviewing the person the whole time, and then the other two people are just ragging on the person doing the interview, like how dumb they are and how dumb their questions are. It's awesome. It's called Smart List, by the way.
Smart List?
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah, they're great comedians, hysterical guys. But speaking of things that are also awesome, the MusicBed is awesome, and so they're sponsoring today's show. So definitely check down the description if you're watching YouTube. If not, you can head to our website. We have a little page where you can click on all our partners and the people we love and go subscribe to get one free month of the MusicBed. We love the MusicBed. We use it at our own companies, and we really do try not to, we do not push companies and products that we do not ourselves endorse. Yeah, so go check out the MusicBed if you want awesome music for your next wedding film.
So we're going to open today's show with our favorite news section called Gear Talk.
That's celebrating.
It was supposed to be a theme song.
Well, let's do it again.
We're aiming at
do it one more time.
Let's go to our favorite section, our favorite news section called Gear Talk. Gear Talk.
That sounds like you're turning your computer on.
I think I prefer the 90s rock station more.
Do it again.
Gear Talk. Yeah, that's better. We'll AB it again.
Yeah,
See what people
we're gonna keep working on this, guys. Yeah. Just keep helping. Give us good advice on what songs we should be using for Gear Talk. Totally. So today I brought a little show and tell. Literally just came in this morning.
What is it, Jay, for the podcast?
For the podcast people, I did make a heaven sound, and I was holding it in my hand for those listening on the podcast. I got the Wireless Go 2 by Rode, and this thing is really sweet. It is a dual channel lav setup, which means that you have a stereo receiver, which is the thing that receives the signals coming from the transmitters, if you're not super familiar with lav mics. So why would you want that? Well, it means you could conceivably put a mic on a groom and a mic on an officiant or whatever, groom, bride, whatever you were doing for your configuration. And then it would transmit one to the left side of the receiver and one to the right side of the receiver. Then it has a stereo out, and you can plug it into your camera or maybe plug it into a recorder and record both of them from one receiver, which is really great.
Yeah, we had just bought the Rode Go V1.
Yeah, maybe a year ago.
For our newer kind of brand, Merriment Films, and kind of the same idea where we were like, hey, I don't necessarily want to bring a recorder to every wedding. I'd love to record straight to camera.
Yeah, for ease.
Monitor it.
For ease. We're not recommending you always do that, but that's what we chose to do for this product.
That's what we chose to do for this product, just to try it out, and it's worked fairly well. The main problem with the first one was it only went up to, I think, 100 meters, and even that was a little bit inconsistent.
It was pretty spotty.
Yep.
I mean, the positives with the Rogo system, if you haven't used them, and I think this is true of the first one, the audio is pretty solid sounding once it works.
Yep. Fairly easy to set up.
Really easy to set
Yep.
up. Really great. Like, has a built-in microphone, which is actually a feature I really like. So, like, literally, if you forgot your lav mic, you could just clip the transmitter onto the groom inside his coat or something, and at least get usable audio. But you can even do stuff like, I've clipped it up inside of like a hoopah before at a wedding and captured some like just ambient audio, or like at a live stream. That's what I'll do, is I'll have like the Rode Go clipped to get clapping and things like that. It's just a very useful mic, and you use it in a lot of ways. Well, what they did with the Rogo 2, they just improved on all the problems. So they have double the range, because we used to have 2 transmitters, so we would mount both of them on top, and then we would combine them into one and plug it into the... Now I don't have to do that anymore, which is great. So they reduced the amount of gear I have to bring.
Yep.
Which is awesome. But then what's the best feature?
I mean, the best feature is the fact that you don't have to sync up audio, but you're probably going to say that it records as well.
That's the best feature.
Yeah. Well, I mean...
Because that lets us replace other gear that we have. And if you're doing weddings and like you have redundant gear, that sucks, right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's a microphone, so it's good that you can actually, I mean, I don't know. I guess you could debate what the best feature is. It's an awesome thing that does a lot of new things, essentially.
Nothing has ever been able to, and there is a law, by the way, about transmitters also being recorders.
Yeah.
So
I patent law.
Yeah. So I'm not sure. I think there's a weird thing where you have to turn the recording on. I don't like this, by the way.
Yeah.
And it's a thing to just keep in mind. They have to turn the recording on in an app, which is like, weird. The good thing is once you turn it on, you don't have to just keep enabling it. And all it does is like keeps recording a backup at all times and just replacing old files.
Yep.
You can do up to 7 hours uncompressed. I'm not sure how much you can do as MP3. You can change the recording format, but so this brings it into mind. The reason I bring that up, say it's the best feature, is because then you start bringing into question the other standard lav recorders that people are using. Because I think most wedding filmers are not using true lav mics. They're using lav recorders.
Yep.
So getting them a lav mic doesn't really help them.
Yeah. Don't let someone say that the DR10 is a lav mic, because all the nerds will come out and kill that person.
It also does not transmit.
No.
So for live streamers or people who want to just record a backup on like a recorder, it doesn't really meet that need. If you want to record onto your, like you said, not having to sync your audio up, you want to do that, you can't do that.
Yep.
So
great for live streaming too.
I would say there's a couple things really quick, and we're going to be doing, if you haven't seen it, we have a couple videos up about it on our YouTube channel, so go check that out. We did a little just overall reaction and then a unboxing, and then we're going to have a review up pretty soon of just like actually going through the product and testing it. But one of the things I anticipate that people are going to say is, well, this one, they say it does a safety track. It doesn't really do the safety track in the way that I'd want it. Like, I think you have to use both your transmitters to get the safety track, which I can't imagine someone wearing 2 of them. It seems ridiculous to me. So I think the biggest things you're going to see are, it doesn't have 32-bit float like the F2, and it doesn't have a true safety track like the Tascam. And so I think, though, if you're making a decision on like what should I get, my opinion, I mean, we've done a lot of weddings with the Tascam,
and we've done a lot of weddings with our Sennheisers too.
Oh, and our old school
Sennheisers.
No, we had another one too in the middle, the old Zoom.
Oh, the old
F1,
Rode.
I think it was.
Oh yeah,
those bigger packs.
The recorders. We've done a lot of work with recorders and true.
But my point is that Zoom F1 didn't have 32-bit float or a safety channel.
Yeah.
And I don't ever remember it.
Yeah.
Having issues peaking out when put on a groom.
This is just awesome because it combines both types of recorder and also lavalier microphone transmitter. That it's just, the first time I've really seen someone.
It's a totally unique product.
I guess someone has a patent on it somewhere. Do you know who has that patent? I don't even know who has the patent on the record and.
No, it's illegal.
I know. Why is it illegal? Because
the law, not because of the patent, because they don't want people transmitting and recording like for safety reasons. For like
the FBI.
Yeah, I don't know.
I thought it was a patent. I'd have to see that.
I don't know why.
Yeah.
But there's probably no patent on the way they got around it, which is pretty smart.
Yeah.
But it's a new category of product.
Definitely.
And so if you are like, I don't really care about the safety channel and I don't care about 32-bit flow, and I'd like to have the flexibility of having the ability to actually transmit the signal.
Yeah.
Great. I think it's a new thing. So it's really cool. It's really exciting. Like I said, check it out on YouTube. We got a bunch more content about this coming up soon. So, yeah.
Look, I'm just going to be completely honest with you. Can we be a little bit transparent here? I'm going to tell you one of my deepest, darkest secrets. I actually really don't enjoy editing that much. If you were to give me the option between shooting and editing, I would pick shooting 11 times out of 10. And if you've been editing and doing video production for any length of time, you know that dread in your heart as you know wedding after wedding after wedding keeps on mounting up, piling up on your backlog. It really sucks. I hate it, and I'm sure you do too. So what can you do about it? You can, of course, ignore it. It's not gonna go away. You can hire a video editor to work on staff. Maybe it costs you 50 to 60 grand plus taxes. Or you can simply reach out to our friends at No Backlog. They make it super easy to knock out edits while you focus on other more important things like growing your business and making more money. And that's what it's all about, right? Save time and money by working with a professional, reliable, and affordable video editing partner. And get your life back today. You can spend more time with your kids, with your spouse, with your important other person, or you can simply just play more video games. I don't care. This is a no judgment zone, man. So make sure you're visiting nobacklog.com and get started today.
Okay, so today we're talking about a subject that's very near and dear to, I think, our hearts.
Yes.
And we're starting a brand new series that we're calling Why Your Business Plan Sucks. So, Jay, why is this so near and dear to us?
You know, I think when we were running our business for the first couple years, we did not know what we were doing.
Yeah.
like at all. Like I remember the first time I sent a bill to a big company, the person who's helping me, she was like, this bill's not high enough, man. You have to send them a bigger bill. And I was like, okay. The first time we booked a wedding, I remember just making the price up on the spot. Do
you remember when we were at the airport and we were supposed to film that wedding or it was like an engagement video and we were supposed to shoot outside and we had to get permission and then we went inside and they were like, well, give us your insurance information. And Jay was like, oh, sorry, I'm getting a phone call. And he like walked outside the room, called an insurance company, got insurance with them, came back in and was like, here's my information. That's what it felt like starting the business.
Oh, yeah, it was everything like that.
Shoot, I got to get another thing figured out.
We just had no idea what we were doing.
Yeah.
And we were lucky enough to be good enough, I think. And I don't say that as a brag. It's just like more of a, like, that was the only thing we had going for us is that we knew how to make nice looking content. But we didn't know what we were doing. And we got into a lot of business situations that really hurt us. We got in business relationships that really hurt our business. We got just like, I'll say this, it's important to me because in the last couple months in the middle of COVID-19, I'm not saying this as a brag. I'm saying this because like this is the freedom we've been able to find by working on this over time. We've cut ourselves about $30,000 in distributions. Which if you don't know what that is, it's outside of your payroll. But also we pay ourselves a salary. We have a 401k. Like these are things that we have as wedding filmmakers that most wedding filmmakers don't have. And I want every wedding filmmaker to be able to get there sooner than us because like literally like we're doing stuff like paying ourselves out of payroll when we should have been doing a combination of payroll and distributions. Well, why does that matter? Well, because I'm paying 13% more taxes on that. Like dumb things like that cost us tens of thousands of dollars and benefits that we should have had a 401k set up years ago, for our families and it's just like things that we didn't think about A lot of things that we're like, oh, that's impossible. Well, now I'm researching them and I'm like, I could have set this up. This wasn't so expensive. This wasn't so hard. Like I should have done this and I didn't. Like, and I would just say like, I'm okay paying the price for other people if I can help other people make better choices that put them in a better position.
You know, you hear it a lot in the wedding industry, whether it's photographers, videographers, whatever their service is, oh, I'm not a business person. I am a florist.
Well, I don't really like the business side.
I'm a photographer. I'm a videographer. And if you are in business, you are a business person. You have to become a business person. If you don't quickly become a business person, soon enough, you're not going to have a business that you're running at all. You're not going to be able to do your talents. And so I think just encouraging people out there, like listening to this, you are a business person. You might just not be very good at it yet. So hopefully through this series, and one of the reasons why we wanted to do just kind of like a big series is encouraging people like, no, you are a business person. You might just suck at these areas and you might be great at some areas, but defining what areas of business that you're actually good at naturally and what areas you suck at is the first step to recovery.
Yeah.
Right?
And it's these are $100,000 mistakes you're making.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Over the course of 5
5, 10 years.
Yep.
Like everyone needs to realize that.
Yep.
Is like, if you don't budget for the right, or the opposite side, which is hundreds of thousands of dollars of reward.
Yep.
You know, and everyone's so short term with their business. Like, and I get it, right? You start your business, that job I was mentioning at the beginning, we got this big commercial job. I think they paid us like 18 grand. Like our first 2 paychecks were like $5,500 and 18 grand.
Yep.
As a business. And I have no idea what we did with that money.
I would know we bought 2 TVs and that's it.
It's right there. The
Yeah, we still
there.
use today.
We still use the
10
TV.
years later.
But like we didn't know what we were doing, and like I think that's cool too. Like I think at the very beginning, I don't want to get over where I'm making it seem like, oh, you got to have this beautifully written. We're not talking about a business plan in the sense that like this document is so important. The document, of course, is the most logical way to do it, but more just the thinking, which is like, what do I even have a plan at all? And like, am I going to allow myself to go there in my mind? Because a lot of people, they don't even let themselves go there. They can't even imagine what like it's going to look like to get through 10 weddings, let alone that they're going to be in business for like 5 years and they're going to end up having 30 weddings and having to make a decision. Do I want to go to 50 weddings? Do I want to cut back down to 20? Like that's a business plan.
Yeah.
Right.
Most people get into this industry to do the thing they love. They don't get into it to do the business side, right? So I think the other day I saw on Facebook someone posted like, should I go to photo school? And she posted a link to this photography website that was like like doing the photo school kind of deal. And I kept on thinking, I can't think of a worse thing for someone to invest in is photography school. Or film school. At this point, school.
You'd be better buying off that much in Dogecoin.
Yeah. So, and
not a good investment either, by the way.
What I told her was like, if you want a degree, go to business school, because then you can actually apply what you're learning to your art, and you can learn photography, you can learn filmmaking from courses, from master classes, from YouTube, whatever it might be, books. And I think a lot of people kind of have this like unbalanced view of like their business. They're like, oh, I need to become a better artist. I need to become, and not realizing that actually that's not the thing that's going to make them successful or make them have this great studio or whatever, or even allow them to become a great artist. It's having practical business foundations through a business plan like this.
It's like if all you can do is a triple axel and you can't skate.
Yep.
Like,
sure.
Like it's like everybody wants the.
I don't know much about ice skating.
It's I mean, I know that's one where you spin 3 times and it's hard to do, but like nobody learns to do that first. It's of course the thing you're going to admire the most. Like when you're a kid, I'll use a better example. When you're a kid, everybody's like, oh, he did a 1080. Tony Hawk did a 1080. And it's like, meanwhile, you're outside trying to still land an ollie.
Well, and just like realizing that it's actually impossible.
It's actually impossible.
It's actually impossible. You can't
does not
do the
work.
triple axle. You can't do the 10/8. You can't do whatever you're trying to do without the foundations and having a business foundation. I mean, how many times do you see somebody and you're like, that person charges how much money for their wedding films?
They're always, because they're great at business. And the opposite, where you see someone, you're like, they charge that little, and then you go to their website and you see why.
Yeah. Yeah, that's probably even more prevalent.
I see that all the time, and I'm like, do you know how successful you could be? I said that to someone the other day. I'm like, you could be so successful
Yes. Yep.
if you would just tweak these things. And of course, the relationship side and all that is part of it. That isn't just, it's not purely business.
Yeah.
But I think it's like, here's the thing. If I could tell, and we're going to get into it, we're going to actually explain some stuff, but like, it's such a cliche, but you have to change your thinking. And I've heard this, and I want to say it as a sobering thing. The average person in the wedding industry who's like a creative, 50% of people do not make it out of year one. 20%, I think, actually make it through the third year, who make it out of year one. And then out of that, 5 years is 5%.
Mm-hmm.
So what is the problem here? The problem is long-term planning and a business plan. Because I promise you, out of those people, a lot of them still love taking photos or making video, and we're good at it. But that's not the point.
Yeah.
And so if I can just impress upon you, like, you don't want to be a casualty of the statistics. Don't be a statistic. Be the person who can actually figure this out. And you don't need to become like amazing at it. Like you just need to be like okay at it, because this business is not that complicated.
Yeah.
Like, you can run an incredible solopreneur business, and you have a little bit of a business plan, and you can coast. You really can. Once you get a reputation in your market, if you get to year 5 and you have a good business plan, you could probably do whatever it is you're doing to that day until you want to retire.
Yep. I agree. I think a lot of people kind of let their business happen to them as opposed to taking control of their business. And the first step is just like getting a good business plan, because that allows you to take the first step to take control of your business, right? It's just like, I looking back when we were talking about how we first started, we were just like, floating down the river of creativity and business, and whatever dam would break, that's the direction that we would go. It's just like,
Well, yeah.
oh yeah, we got this opportunity. Maybe we're commercial wedding filmmakers, or maybe we're commercial filmmakers. And then it'd break another way, like, oh, well, we just got 8 weddings, so maybe we're wedding filmmakers. And it was just like, we've kind of had this approach, and I'm not necessarily saying that's bad, like take your opportunities, but I think
it's always evolving, by the way. But anyway.
What Bobby said a couple weeks ago was saying yes to everything. And we tend to say yes to a lot of things, but I think we've learned to cut back on the things we're saying yes to, because they just go against what our business plan is. We're like, no,
more
that
you
doesn't
know,
match what we want to do.
The more you know what you want to do, the easier it is to call your actual. I mean, I think the biggest thing, people think money equals business. Like, I made money, so I am doing business. And it's like, kind of. I mean, that's like part of a business plan, but like, not really. So let's get into what are we actually talking about here. It does matter to us, by the way, and like, we're gonna get into it in a little more later. But like I said, we want people to be successful. We're gonna be doing this series, and we're gonna go through each of these 8 points for you all.
Just go through it really quick.
But this is what all of our business points are. Which are this? A business plan consists of market research, market strategy, business model, long-term goals, and this is in no specific order, by the way, budgeting, team building, development strategy, trend analysis, personal resources. And
some people listening to those bullet points might say, oh, that doesn't apply to me. That doesn't apply to me. I'm excited to go through them, because we're going to say how it applies literally to every kind of business model out there. All of those bullet points can be applied to your business. Yeah. And like we said, like, you need one, because like, everyone should have at least if you don't have it in writing, at least be able to answer it if someone asks you. I get it that our businesses aren't overly complicated. I don't want to like overemphasize just doing dumb
busy work just for doing dumb busy work. But like at least be able to answer these questions of like who in your market. By the way, your market is not the world. Probably. Your market is probably where you live. So let's just be real there. And just because you put destination on your website doesn't mean you're actually a destination wedding anything. So, but that being said, everyone should be doing market research, for instance. Like there's no one excluded from knowing the prices of the people in their market and the competitors and the average price. Most people, I think, do know that, by the way, but they didn't build their business around it.
Yeah, and I think a lot of times as a creative, you might look at all these things and be like, yeah. Like I know who my competition is, I guess, but like who cares? They can exist, I can exist. You know,
I've literally heard that business advice from people. Oh, stop looking at what other people are doing.
Yep.
It's terrible advice.
I mean, definitely terrible business advice if you want to have a business. But you know, besides that, you know, market research in general, like what can your average bride and groom pay in your area?
Market research is not just competitive analysis.
Yes.
It's some of it, but a lot of it is what you're saying.
Yep.
And that, like, I will say these are things, we'll go through all of them a little today, and then we're going to be doing an episode on each one. Mm-hmm. Every one of these things are things that I would think we're relatively strong in all of them now, but we were very terrible at one point. And so we're not coming from a place of arrogance. We're just coming from a place of like, we've experienced a lot of pain. And then over time, we like implemented improvements on each of them. And like, for instance, we brought up market research, like 3 years ago, we discovered the wedding report.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, 3-4 years ago, something like that.
And then we would like, you know, we had our own data, of course, like from our own clients. And we were like, could we get the numbers to go up, or how should we set our business up to do what we wanted? Because at that point, I think we had kind of a business model that we had in mind, which is our teams and then we started doing the market research. And then we were able to, we actually brought our prices up slightly based on what we knew, but not to a point where we thought. And so it's like our business, and now we make more money. You know, we evaluated this as trend analysis. I'll give a great example. Do you remember a couple of years ago, we were talking about our raw footage package? And I was like, we're not making money on this. Mm-hmm. You were like, yes, we are. And then we kind of broke the numbers down. And I'm like, look at the profitability on it. And then we looked at that, and it was like, it ended up making us like $300-400, mm-hmm. which is stupid. Like we did like 20 weddings at that price. And I was like, this is stupid. We're 30. I think we did 30 weddings. I was like, this is a waste of money. And so what we did was I said, let's bring it up a little bit. Let's come up with a great strategy to upsell the weddings afterwards. So I don't really care. Then let's push our highest package and try to get people to level up instead of level down. We made one little quick tweak in a 1 hour meeting in our sales tactics and how we marketed it and in our pricing. And I think that turned around into an extra like 10 of our highest package for the next year. We sold 10 less of the package we didn't want to sell. And then I think we ended up selling to 80% of our couples the upsells after the wedding. That is right there what happens when you actually analyze your trends and you have a business plan.
Yep. I think the next year, just by having that one meeting, you know, we addressed that, but then we also figured out a way to double selling our highest package.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, it was insane. And then we did minimize, just by raising prices, the amount that we were doing on the lowest package. And on those low packages, we ended up upselling all those people. So, you know.
And it didn't hurt our overall sales.
No.
We sold the same amount of volume. We just made more money.
All of them just, every sale just packed a lot more punch. So, yeah, little things. And I was going to say, for all these kind of like pillars of having a business plan, all these kind of bullet points, they all support each other, right? They all work. They're an integrated system. So like, I think the most important thing, kind of going back to this and not to, you know, beat a dead horse. Sorry to make a horse violence joke.
How dare you do that?
PETA's coming after us. But you need to realize what you're really good at. You know, right away, I don't think market research was our strength. Market strategy.
It's hard. And there wasn't the resources even. Now there's a lot more resources.
Business model wasn't our strength. Long-term goals. I remember you used to say, like, Damon, our business partner, used to say, oh, I want to have long-term goals. You know, what are your 5-year plan? And you're like, I don't have a 1-year plan, man. My plan is to do the work that's in front of me. And that's what we used to say. And now we have a different, you know, philosophy on it, a practical philosophy on it.
Yeah, we're not talking about just trying to predict the future.
Yeah. Budgeting, we sucked at. I mean, we've gotten a lot better at it.
After we paid very huge financial prices.
Team building, we were always kind of good at.
Yep.
We're always like, and even now, I would say that's probably our strength. That's what we get asked to do the most, in talking to other videographers is like, how do you find people? We have a whole process to that. We've always had a process for that. Developmental strategy, same thing. Like,
yeah,
we've
always
developed our people pretty well.
Well, and even ourselves, like we always are trying to become better. Like
systems, and
becoming a
everything.
better filmmaker and a better business person is something I enjoy.
Yep.
So this idea of developing myself and developing my business is not hard for me. Like
Yep.
I like doing that.
Yep. So I would say find the things that you're weak in, find ways to reinforce those skills. I would say everyone can become great at all of these things. If you're out there and you're like, I don't know, market research, I don't know how to do that, it's easy. Just look up a couple websites.
Well, and
Wedding
it's like
report.
you don't actually. Everyone can have great results.
Yes.
With all of these, because one of the ways you're going to learn is like, oh, I'm going to pay someone to do that.
Yeah. And this is what I would say with this too is quit being lazy. Like, 'cause that's the biggest thing. Like it annoys. Remember when your mom first got a smartphone? Everyone's mom. I'm saying not just your mom. I love your mom.
I actually have no remembrance of my mom getting a smartphone.
I remember my mom getting a smartphone and my dad and literally every person over 40 getting a smartphone saying, I'll never use this thing. It's stupid. It's dumb. Now I get text messages from my dad. He's in the woods taking pictures of deer with his deer cameras. He's like, I love this thing. And he was like the guy that would never, ever get a smartphone.
My mom is obsessed with her iPad.
Yeah. Like, they're insane. But it's the same kind of thing. Like if you're
so.
saying like you can't do these things, that's just laziness, and you have to get over yourself. You have to realize like these are the things that are actually you're frustrated as a creative. These are the things that are frustrating you.
I'm going to tell a failed artist story that I think is a lot of people, because I think a lot of people.
We need a campfire sound effect when you say you're going to tell a story.
I'll get one.
Yeah,
Gay story
good.
time.
Yeah, exactly.
I was a musician before I was probably not. Probably the same time. I've been making dumb films since I was 14 years old. So we should
share those too.
I have some good ones.
We made some funny ones.
But regardless, like I pursued music as a profession and very much failed at it because I was a very principled artist and I didn't want to sell out. I remember we got this pitch by this record company. They were like, hey, and like for us in the Christian world, they were like, we were in Christian music, and it was a record company called Solid State Records, which is a record label. They had all the heavy Christian bands. And so we were, heavy metal band, and we got contacts, and they said, oh, we like this and this, and like very quickly we realized like, we wanted to make a certain thing, but we didn't want to make money. Like, so we weren't willing to do the things that it would take to make money. To put it like, we weren't willing to like stop going to college. Not that we should have, by the way. I think we made the right decision. But I'm saying like as artists, we weren't willing to do what it would take to be successful. And I think a lot of artists find themselves in that place. And like, this is a like check yourself moment in your business. And if you're hearing this, you're like, oh crap, he's going to say this. Some of you are not cut out to be full-time. Like you're not cut out to be full-time. If you're not willing, when we go through this and we're like, you have to do this, or at least find someone who will do it for you, you probably are better fit as a part-timer. You're like you love it, you're passionate, and you can get paid. That's great. There's nothing wrong with having that like reality check in your own head. Cause I really realized really quick as an artist and like musician, I wasn't willing to put in the time and effort. I just wanted to make the art. I didn't want to run a business. That was that.
What do you think being a sellout means to the wedding videographer in general?
Running my business, Stop Go Love.
What do you think of the term in general, though, for artists?
I think it's mostly just sour grapes and people who are jealous. Because I think...
What do you think the stigma is with it, though?
The stigma is that you don't have any artistic integrity, you're not creative, and a lot of it more comes down to that they can't see themselves run a successful business, but they can see themselves being successful artists. They can relate with that, connect with that. They have empathy for that position, And so they are totally willing to like project in the future being the best wedding filmmaker and making money because everyone goes how great they are. But they can't imagine having the best business and making all the money. And like, if you look 5 years in the future, and it's based on what they know like, I see that good work. I also want to make good work. They don't know what goes into the art of running a good business. Well, they've never seen it. Like people like don't talk about it. Most people who are giving you information on this are just trying to sell you a class, by the way. Like, so you get like these like little snippets, but you're not getting into like the nitty gritty, right? And I hate that, by the way. Like, I think we should give our best stuff away to the best of our ability. I know that you should pay for classes so you get time, mentorship, all that. But I think at the end of the day, like most people think a sellout is like, it's just like substandard art, not caring about customers, not caring about what they make, which I don't think anyone should do. Like I would never advocate for that. I don't believe that's what we do. I would put our work up against 95% of wedding filmmakers. I mean, we've been in Martha Stewart tons. We've been in almost everything at one point. You know, maybe not Harper's, but like it's like people like our work. And it's not about the work. And I think most people think like if they scale or if they get a plan, it's not going to be as organic. It's not going to be as true to themselves. And also like what you said, a lot of people are just lazy. They don't want to put the time into it because it's boring and they don't want to do anything boring. And that's why they don't want a real job. But everything becomes a real job. Everything becomes a real job. That is at the core of what we're talking about is like when it starts to get boring, then you're getting good. And that's when you can like fine tune it. Like it's boring because you're not trying to figure it out anymore because you like figured it out. You know what you're doing. Like, weddings are boring to me now. Why? Well, because when I go, I know what's going to happen. Okay, now you can make money because you don't have to think about it anymore. You can start thinking about all the stuff we're going to talk about in here. And it's like most people, when they get to that point, they think it means it's time to move on. And I'm like, no, when it gets boring, it's time to move in. Now it's time to like look deeper and figure out like, is there another problem you can solve? Like there could be an extra $1,000 per wedding if you would look at your sales cycle now. Now you have time because you're so good at shooting weddings. So I think sellout it's more of an ego thing for people than an actual, I think they would actually be happy with the result if they would lead in and just, think about
Well, the life of an artist is the life of, self-punishment because we talked to a lot of artists on here and it's always comes down to like, yeah, but I'm just not feeling, my art really come through. Not satisfied. But what I think you and I have realized is like when you run a successful business, you want freedom, right? That's the reason you run a successful business.
That's what we're talking about.
And you get the freedom to do what you want. And if that's create more art and the kind of art, if it's fashion, if it's corporate work, if it's just bring your camera outside and work on lighting and whatever, it gives you more time to do those things. It's a means to an end, right? And your end is your freedom, right? Your means is running a business, running it efficiently, making enough money so that you can say, hey, if I want to make more money, I can decide to do that. If I want more time with my family, I can do that. If I really want to play Call of Duty, I can do that. It's whatever you want.
Yeah, I mean, so we're just kind of outlining why, if you're listening to this, just to reset the room, a Clubhouse term.
Oh, good.
We're talking about why we're trying to like pitch to you this idea that like if you can sit down and actually think through a business plan, which we say consists of personal resources, market research, market strategy, business model, long-term goals, budgeting, team building, development strategy, and trend analysis. If you can put that together, you will get the result of having freedom and control over your business. And not just the moment of your business, but the trajectory of your business. Where are we headed here? Are we headed into the luxury market? Are we headed... should I mention the luxury market thing?
I think that's a whole nother...
I'll wait for that. I will say more as an aside of if your business plan is do something that 1% of your market's doing, you better have a really good business plan.
Yeah, so I want to hop in here and talk a little bit about like why do you think most wedding filmmakers don't want to develop a business or don't think about it up front, do you have an idea of like why you think most people don't even want to think about it?
Well, I think because most people who are successful, who are training us, haven't done it themselves and they're not telling them to. So I think that's some of it. Like, it's not a sexy class.
It's hard. It's not what we're good at naturally.
Well, no, and also like it's not aspirational. Like people are gravitated towards things that are exciting and sexy.
Especially as filmmakers.
Yeah, it's like
we're visual.
If you did a class called like Destination Weddings, people would go to that because they want to travel the world.
Yeah.
But if you did a class called How to Get a Great Business Plan, I said it the other day, like if I had a room called Running a Scalable, Safe Business, and then in a clubhouse and another room called Booking Luxury Weddings, which room would be full?
Yeah.
That's why most people don't do it, because they're like, no offense, creatives, we're kind of children in how we're not mature in how we look at our work, And a lot of people, by the way, and this is fine, a lot of people I think are probably like can never, it's like a dream to go full time. They're not even like to them, they couldn't even imagine. But I do believe like it gets there sooner. Like if you're about to go full time, it'll just like sneak up on you. You'll just suddenly be like hit critical mass and you'll be successful and you'll really wish you had a business plan. Because at that point, you're just going to be like riding the wave. And I think that's what we learned is like, we were just trying to like white knuckle this thing for a while,
Yeah. I think it might have to do with the fact that a lot of wedding filmmakers start off and they're solo operators.
Yes, yeah, that's a big one.
Editors, business people. They're doing it all by themselves. So the business plan isn't written down because it's all up top. It's
all up in here, man.
It's all up in here. And that's great. But how easy is it for you to change your business plan on a whim because some Cancun wedding comes up and you're like, hey, this must be fate or whatever. And, it could be. It very well could be.
Do you know about
but is that in your business plan? Is shooting destination weddings, how is it going to help all those areas of your business plan by doing that one wedding?
So there's like this very cultic thing. And if you're into it, I don't care if it offends you, whatever. But like, it's this thing called the law of attraction. And it's 90% of a class where they tell you to self-actualize or become your ideal self or teach you to have what you want or be a boss or something are basically just teaching the law of attraction, which came from The Secret and I think like Chopra and all those self-help gurus. But they got one thing really right. It's not magic. It's just motivation. And this is speaking things into the world that you want to happen and like saying, I have a rule, like I try to say things that I think that I really want, because then I'm held accountable to it, to my wife and to the people around me. And so so the law of attraction is like you make the dream boards, right? You do you put in front of you all the time the thing that you want.
Speak it into existence.
Yeah, in the church world, they speak into existence.
Yeah.
And all these people, like it's a classic psychological strategy to get yourself to do what you know you should do. You are not trying to convince anyone but yourself to run a good business. In reality, like I care about your business in a hypothetical way, but in like actuality, I don't care about your business. I care about my business. I'm not going to think about your business. I'm not going to be like, I need to not help my clients and call up this guy and help his business. No, you have to help your own business. In order to do that, you need to be psychologically motivated. And I think you need to hold yourself accountable in some way to run a business. And like a business plan is a great way to do it. And it helps a lot. And it will also show you how like poorly prepared you are. Because a lot of these you won't have an answer to. So let's just really skim it really quick.
Okay.
Really quick. And then kind of like close out. So personal resources, all right, what do you have to build your business with? What are the things most people have?
Time. And
talent.
I was talking to someone. Yeah, that's really good. I was talking to someone the other day talking about what resources you have, and it really comes down to time, money, and talent. Right?
Yeah,
those three things. So
most people, especially starting out.
Yeah. So what can you actually do to apply those three elements to your business? Like apply what you actually have right now. A lot of times when you're first starting out, it's not money. It's probably time and talent. So, yeah.
Yeah. And so that means you need to double down on time. You know, we're at the place now where we're low on time. So like when people are like, oh, you're doing the knot, it's like, I don't have time to do anything. I have money, but I don't have time. So it's like, you got to go, what are my personal resources? What do we got here as a business? And that's anything from, I have 2 Canon R6s. But like, by the way, if it's, I have 2 Canon T2Is, can you do a business with that? I mean, I don't even know. I don't know the specs on them. No. But like, that's a resource you have.
Yep.
Do you have to sell it? Do you have to sell that resource and buy another camera? Is that required? But either way, you got to take stock of what are my resources. So market research, this is, and we'll always, we got to get him on here. We keep almost having him on and it doesn't work out. But the guy from the Wedding Report, and it's a great website. I wonder how I haven't looked at it in the last couple of months because of COVID. I'm curious about it, but
yeah, I am curious how he's getting those numbers because he's doing a lot of reporting on COVID numbers and the dips and just that's just
it's so good.
Yeah, it is good. He's just pooling data from as many people as he possibly can.
I think the Wedding Report is essential reading for every wedding professional. I don't care where.
It's like $100 a year.
If you go over there and give the guy some money. I also really like the market research that you get from the Knots report and the Wedding Wires report.
Yep.
You can say it's not accurate.
You can reflect them all, put them all up against each other and come up with your own conclusion.
It is accurate.
But, yeah.
I've done the numbers. They're not accurate for everyone, but they are accurate enough that you can factor it in.
Yep.
And then, of course, market research of when are my venues around me booking and how much, what kind of, okay. Let's really quickly, we'll talk about it more in the episode, but like market research. If you find a planner that you want to work with, I would go look and see who she normally works with on video. And then I would say, how much do they charge? And then I would say, is my work, you probably can't necessarily do that if you're starting out. Maybe I'd want to go second shoot with that person sometimes. Who knows? But market research, figuring out what the heck is going on around you.
What kind of wedding film works in your market? Like it's different in New England than it is in New York.
Yes, and market research is about customers more than it is about competitors, but it does involve
it's external to your business.
Yes, it's things, all the factors are outside of your business that affect your business.
Yep. Marketing strategy.
Yeah, I mean, you got to have a strategy there. And like for most of you, it's going to be a time-based strategy like social media. I don't know why anyone wouldn't at least put especially starting out. I think in the luxury line, it's different. But if you're not in the upper crust, the $8,000 plus weddings, I don't know why everyone wouldn't put like $100 a month into at least some social media advertising, just to start learning it and giving yourself an opportunity. Because like as you learn it, later when you're ready to really invest in it, you'll actually have some experience instead of like, I got $10,000 to put in this, but I've never done it before.
Yeah. Yep.
But you got to have a strategy. I always say with marketing, if you want 50% referrals, 50% leads you created via SEO, paid marketing, organic marketing, all that junk. But you got to have a strategy.
Yep.
Business model.
Yep. Yeah. Business model, I mean, is really just like, and this is a whole nother topic. This is a whole nother podcast, even probably outside of, this series. But how many weddings do you want to shoot? At what price do you want to shoot them? How much time do you want to have? Like
and
all
this,
that. Really
and this
goes
could be like,
model.
It's not who you are today. It could be like, I want to run a studio. Maybe you don't have a studio yet, but you need to set your business up to run like a studio, which means you need to build in the margins to pay other people.
Products, services, staff.
All that junk.
How are you going to make the money?
How are you going to make the money and how are you going to have the money to pay for the business? That's a big part of it that a lot of people forget. It's like, what's your cost per wedding? Have you even thought about that?
You're the only person I've ever heard talk about that, by the way.
I don't know why.
It's hard. That's why. It's hard to do. It is hard to do because you have all these like subjective things like, what is your time worth?
Yeah, I mean, I don't even factor that in. I just factor in the money I'm spending per wedding.
Sure.
To get the wedding.
Yeah.
It's like, I pay this person to do X. I want to shoot 100 weddings a year.
But when you're shooting it yourself, how do you come up with, that's a number I think that's hard for people to come up with because they're like, I'm putting a number on me, right?
Yeah.
And that's kind of hard to do if you don't have the right resources.
Well, luckily, we're going to give you that resource.
Yes, we're going to hop in.
But it is a thing that you can do and you should do.
Yep.
Long-term goals, I think, where do you see yourself 3 years, 5 years is a big thing.
Yep.
This is a hard one because it takes
You
a
always
little...
struggle with this one.
Not anymore because I have an idea. It takes knowing, though, what you want.
And what you don't want.
Yeah, and I think for a lot of people that can be tricky. And so, like I said, I feel like your business plan should change every year. And so this isn't like, we're not saying this is who you, like whatever you set up when you first started your business, you should still be trying to do that. That would be crazy. Like, this is going to change.
Yeah.
But at least like giving yourself a guideline.
Yeah. Bumpers.
Yeah, sure. Like I'm going off the rails here. Or I'm doing really well. I'm outpacing myself. Like, I got to rework it because I'm so successful.
Yep.
Budgeting. Everyone hates this. We don't need to get into it. You need to do a budget every year. It should be based on certain criteria and certain percentages. Freaking do it. Get off your butt and get it done.
I will say about budgeting before we move on, because no one wants to listen to budgeting. We were able to weather coronavirus because of an awesome budget. We were able to say, this is what we can do. This is what we can't do. This is what we have to do now so that later on we can do X, Y, and Z. Budgeting is telling the future. It is the crystal ball of wedding.
It's also the reason we were able to pay ourselves bonuses.
Yeah.
Because we're like, I know when my money's coming in. I know this. I know when I need to spend it. All this crap.
Yep.
Team building. This is wicked hard. And we're going to get into it in our full episode. Team building is not necessarily hiring employees. It's employees plus third-party partners. And I don't personally think any person in the world should be running a business without any partners. I think anyone I will just argue with you. If you say like, no, you should like, I've never heard anyone say that either, but you need partners, even if they're like accountants, CPAs, lawyers.
Yep.
Like if you actually think through it, this, everyone agrees with this.
Team building is not just staff. Team building is who is going to go to bat with you in certain areas of expertise that you don't have or you don't have time to do yourself.
I'll give you a pro tip before we do the real episode later. Who is going to shoot a wedding if you break your leg? They might not be an employee. They might just be a friend. But that's your team. That's your team, and everyone should have that. And I think many do. Most people I know have these people, and they don't even think of it this way, but everyone has to do team building.
Yep.
Development strategy, which is your strategy to get better. This is what you do while you're doing the thing you're doing. It's like, practicing your shooting, that's development. Evaluating, how are you training if you do have employees? How are you training them? What's your strategy there? Like, that's a big one. And then the last one, my personal favorite area of a business is trend analysis, which, man, I know that that's weird, but I feel like I'm gaining superpowers when I evaluate trends. Some people are like, how did you guess that number? And I'm like, I just got a lot of information and then I just averaged it. And then it just magically turns every time. Like, there's so many.
This is how you're able to get your hypothesis about how much a person is worth, like, because you can be in a spreadsheet and you can look at numbers all day and be like, oh, this is what it's going to be at the end of the day. Like, because you spend the time and are obsessed with these kind of numbers, you can, again, predict the future for your.
I'm within like 1% to 2% every year. Am I not?
Yeah.
On like almost every line item.
Yep.
And these are earnings ones that including potential weddings, not just including like
based on a 3-year trend.
I just
or
average
whatever.
it out. It's not that complicated.
Yeah.
I just trust averages.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'll discount the average to be conservative.
Yep.
So we're never like budgeting too high, and we'll get into that with all this, but you can learn a lot by looking at your previous weddings and by looking at market trends on how you should be setting your business up. And it'll give you so much freedom. Like if I looked in and saw like, oh, the average person in my market was paying $5,000, I would just up my prices tomorrow.
Yep.
Because I would know that they were willing to pay it. Like, it's not a question of like, will they pay it or whatever, or my own value or any of that crap. It doesn't matter. Like that's what they're expecting to pay.
Yep.
So trends will teach you that.
So hopefully this has been eye-opening for you listening to this, show at home.
This is like the first time we've been like really, really upfront with like our overall philosophy on wedding film school.
Hopefully it didn't scare you away and you'll never listen again. It is intimidating. I mean, listening to all this stuff, it sounds like you're listening to a stupid board meeting at, Fortune 500.
It's not very sexy.
It's not sexy at all. But like, if you can just do 50% of this, it will make your life so much easier and you can have more of the creative freedom that you want as a filmmaker. I promise you. Like,
at the end of the day,
will.
that's all we're talking about is you should have what you want.
Exactly. So, I would challenge you if you're at home and you're like, I don't know what they're talking about. This is a pain in the butt. Like, bear with us, please. Because if you do, like, I can promise you it's going to benefit you so much. Just listen. Like, I'm a full-on creative. I was terrible in high school. Okay in college, actually.
Yeah, you're okay.
I was okay.
I mean, you're not stupid.
Yeah, no. But I hate spreadsheets. I hate all of it. I've learned to love these things.
Because of what they represent.
Exactly.
Like, I'll give a great example of something that I when I was single, I hated cleaning my house. Because why? I mean, who am I trying to improve? It doesn't matter, right? And so I just hated it. I didn't see the benefit. I didn't see what it benefited me. And now there's like certain things in my house that I do, like I've started doing automatically.
You don't even think about it.
Because I like paid some prices like that were painful, and I didn't want to pay them anymore. So I started like immediately putting things in certain places so I don't lose them, or immediately opening certain mail, or just doing stuff that was important. And now when I do it, I get a reward, an endorphin kick, and because I know that I just helped myself.
Yeah. I like that analogy because it's saying doing small consistencies, realizing that, oh, this isn't a big deal. I'm just going to do it. Building small habits that have big rewards, right? And these things are small habits. You don't have to do this all year. Most of these things are like you sit down in the off season, you're like, I'm going to do my budget today.
Yep.
I'll spend one day on my budget.
And you look at it a couple times in the year.
Yep. And then it just gives you the framework to be able to do the kind of business the rest of the year that you want to do and build a business.
Well, and you're just business. Knowing like when you dropped, we just dropped 10 grand on going to engage.
Name dropper.
See you down there, guys. But we just dropped 10 grand on that, and I know I have the money.
Yeah.
Like, it's not a question.
Yeah.
Like, I don't need to worry about it. I don't need to do any extra work to pay for it. It's just like, and we're conservative. We're actually it sounds like we're like these crazy spenders. We're pretty conservative, actually. Like, with like if we were to go through our numbers with you, you'd be like, why didn't you just take home this much money? We're like, well, we're kind of like, we're conservative on as a company, but we don't mind spending big money on things that we think will have return.
Yeah.
And we know, and we build into our business plan opportunities like this.
Yep.
So that when we see the opportunity, we can go spend the money and go do the thing. And it's like, that's what everyone wants.
Yeah.
You just want to be able to go do what you want to do.
And something that's important that, I don't know, this is probably the separate podcast, but we have the freedom to fail.
Oh,
right?
Totally. We fail all the time.
We fail all the time. And
terrible ideas.
We bite off way more than we can chew. Awful ideas that I'm having a blank on right now, but they'll come up.
I got some bad ideas I can list.
Remember when we wanted to write all our own music for our wedding films?
I still want to do that someday, but I know how much I should charge for it.
Yes, totally. We weren't ready for that. But yeah, it again, all comes back to freedom. This kind of having a business plan gives you that freedom. Super important. Do you want to roll out just kind of what your plans are?
Yeah, so we're going to be doing, a podcast series over the next couple months. We're going to be rolling out just why your business plan sucks. Market research, why your business plan sucks. Each topic will have an episode dedicated to it. But one of the things I wanted to kind of just give today is just like, for us, this is something we're passionate about, and if you're like, okay, I could use a little help, we are going to be launching just a coaching section on the Wedding Film School website. So weddingfilm.school/coaching. And if you were looking to get coached, we're going to have a special introductory price, which honestly, I don't know what we're going to charge for that. But but I go over. I mean, it's going to be less than $500, probably a lot less. So I'd encourage you to go check it out. We're just going to have a special introductory price because I want to put my time into things that are worthwhile. So we can't just like do stuff for free because we are pretty busy. But I also don't like talking about a topic like this and then leaving people hanging. Like if we're able to like at least a couple times a week step in and invest in people, because I can tell you like $250, $300 isn't going to really change our business that much. So we're not doing it for the money, but we definitely do want to help people. So if you're listening and you're like, these guys don't seem like total idiots, maybe they could help me a little bit. And you
Total idiots. Key,
like,
total.
And like you think like, hey, so what we want to do is basically we want to kind of talk about each of these points with you and try to identify like where are the areas where you can apply effort to actually get the quickest improvement and help your business the most. And so if you feel like that would be helpful, head over to weddingfilm.school/coaching. There'll be a little button on the homepage too. And we'd love to help you out. We have limited availability on that too. We don't have a ton of time, but with the time we have, we do want to help people.
Yeah. And I'll just say to kind of close out, like Jason and I and Bobby, like the whole Wedding Film School team, we're super passionate about seeing this industry grow. Like there's so much potential with wedding filmmaking. I think it's the future of documenting weddings. Like personally, I think there's going to come a time where it's 50-50 photography, videography. Currently only 50% of weddings hire a wedding videographer. That's so much room for growth. And that to me just means people aren't selling it well and people just don't have a desire.
Terrible marketing, bad connections.
Yep.
It's not that there's terrible art though. There's all kinds of good wedding films.
Yep.
And great wedding filmmakers
and it's harder. It is so much harder to run a wedding film business than run a photography business.
Yeah, I'm
we're biased, but
we're with friends now. We can all say that,
Yep.
but I would agree.
Yep.
It's probably true.
It's challenging. So besides doing the shooting, besides doing the editing, running a business on top of all of it, you just probably seem like you don't have enough time. So, that's our heart. That's where we're coming from and why we do this kind of channel. And we also think it's pretty fun. We can hang out with some cool dudes too. But that's kind of where we're coming from. So,
all that crazy YouTube money's just rolling in.
Oh, I know the $7 that we got on our highest rating video. Like we bought one of us a coffee for 1 week.
Yeah, I mean, and we just like, I know if you got to the end of this podcast, you don't really care about it's probably whatever to you. But in terms of like, and by the way, thank you for making it this far. But Wedding Film School is an OG channel, and I think they have their identity in like BTS stuff and some tutorial. Craig Adams did a great job getting that thing established. I don't mind saying though that we're taking it in a different direction. I don't want to be the education channel for what is that, 2016. Like the needs are different.
Yeah.
The industry is different. Like the equipment is not the big deal. I mean, equipment's awesome, but like, let's face it. We were having to hack our cameras before to even do the job. Now we don't need to do that. Now we can actually like just buy a camera that does the job pretty easily, and we have to focus and run real businesses.
Yep.
And so our goal as Wedding Film School is to like, if I was to actually start a wedding film school, what would I talk to you about? I would talk to you about shooting. I would talk to you about equipment because that's fun and inspiring. I would show you great filmmakers, which is one of our goals on the podcast. But then I would also say to you, you need to learn to run a real business, and this is how to do it.
Yep.
And so if you're listening and you made it this far into the show, like I said, thank you. But also, you probably noticed on the YouTube channel, there's some things that are a little different, and that's not by accident.
Yep. Yeah. So, yeah, guys, if you've made it this far, thank you. Like Jason said, this has been a presentation of the Wedding Film School. Make sure that you guys are subscribing. We do a lot of live videos. Jason just
once a week
mentioned
at least.
Live critiques of people's wedding films, people's websites. We kind of make a go at it on right now. It's Friday nights, but that could change. Depending on the year, people shoot a lot of weddings on Friday, Saturday, Sunday, so that might change a little bit. But right now, currently, if you're listening, as of February 2021, we are doing it Friday nights. Make sure you hit the bell so you're notified every single time that we go live. And also, if you've gotten some out of this, give this video a thumbs up. All the things. Share with a videographer friend. It's someone that might get some good insight from a podcast like this. Again, this is going to be a long series. It's probably going to be 9 parts.
Yeah, we'll do it over the course of many months. But if you want coaching now, like I said, head over. We'll put it on the screen. Weddingfilm.school
Yep.
/coaching.
Cool, guys. Thank you for watching.